And a good Sunday afternoon to you. This weather video driven by 802cars.com. It represents 802 Toyota, Twin Cities Subaru, and 802 Honda. They're all located off of exit 7 on Interstate 89. You're currently looking at the area of low pressure located over Michigan, and it is producing some very strong winds, especially on its western and southern flank. These winds are going to continue to blow in across the Ohio Valley, affecting right now with some outages across Ohio, Michigan, into Pennsylvania. This is going to be spreading into New York over the course of the next few 6 hours, 12 hours, and of course it'll be affecting areas in New England as it does weaken just a little bit, but for the most part, this is a pretty big wind event on the way for basically Monday. Looking at the high-resolution rapid refresh and looking at the winds that were taking place a little earlier at 1:35, these winds here, this is 2 o'clock, these winds begin to fall off, notably across southern and central areas, and the last to fall up across northern areas. We're kind of seeing the opposite right now with that, with real-time stuff. A lot of Mount Mansfield winds have really dropped off very rapidly and most recently. So things are calming down. We're going into a lull, but we're awaiting what's going to be happening, and this is valid about 8 o'clock this evening. We can see the wind starting to pick up and blow into New York. Notice what it does in Vermont. It really does hold off until we get into the mid-morning hours. Once we get past around 5 o'clock, you can see those winds really start to kick in here. And note what's going on in New York State. You can see these strongest winds blowing in, and this is going to be the trajectory of these westerly winds blowing across our state. Looking at the high-resolution rapid refresh, you can see these winds begin to pick up. This is valid about 5 o'clock this evening. That's 6. And we're talking about 10 o'clock tonight. And note over toward Lake Ontario, those deeper reds. Those are the stronger winds interacting with the relative warm waters of the lake, and they mix down with good mixing conditions. These winds then approach and make it into our neck of the woods. You can see this is valid about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock tomorrow. These are just winds, sustained winds and not gusts. This is noon, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and it goes out till 7 o'clock, and that would be tomorrow evening, Monday evening. Here's another check on the European model. We're looking at, this would be valid 1 o'clock this afternoon. Those are southeasterly downsloping winds over a narrow geography, but we can see what develops here. This is valid 1 o'clock in the morning. Note there's still some winds that are gusting above thresholds in the southern Green Mountains. They never really relent, but I think they're going to stay higher elevation. However, things pick up, and this is valid at 1 o'clock tomorrow, and you can see these hurricane force gusts being registered more than likely along the spine of the Green Mountains for these winds. But needless to say, this is some pretty strong winds here across the southern Greens and the Berkshires. And it seems to be helped along with the sort of confluence of the Mohawk Valley with these winds coming, barreling down through the Albany-Schenectady area and then affecting the Green Mountains. So looking at that, that's valid at 1 o'clock. So that's wind gusts basically in the mid to late morning and early afternoon through 1 o'clock. And this is after that point. Notice the winds relent considerably over the Champlain Valley, but they're still going strong across these areas of southern Vermont. Still some pretty strong winds in the Northeast Kingdom Highlands, so most of the state is going to be affected. And then finally, this is 1 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday, so the winds are still at higher elevations anyway, still blowing quite strong, but more than likely buffered. And this would be 7 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday. The event's over at this point in time. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights, conference call at 2 p.m.